And we are live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Translators On Air. My name is Dmitry Korniukhov. I'm your host. Joining me tonight, my incredible co-host, Elena Tereshnikova. Hi, Elena.
Hey, guys.
And our guest, Jesse Tomlinson. Hi, Jesse.
Hello, thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you. Jesse is a Spanish and English translator and interpreter, and she lives in Mexico. Jesse covers simultaneous, consecutive, whispering modes of interpreting, and she also works as a liaison and media interpreter. And in our today's conversation, we're going to talk about liaison interpreting and working with direct clients. But before we go there, just a few announcements. As always, the second season of Translators on Air has been sponsored by our friends at SmartCat. These guys develop technology for translators, and they offer it absolutely for free. So if you're looking for a CAT tool, check out the SmartCat. Just push the green button below this video, or if you're watching or listening this in the recording, just click the first link in the description. We have quite a few people here already. Hello, Natalie. Hello, Crystal, Elena, Stefan, Michelle, Lavina, Magno. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. It's a pleasure to have you all. If some of you are watching this for the first time, this is actually happening live, so we are recording this live right now. There's a chat window on the right-hand side. You can say hi in this chat window and tell everyone where you're from or what kind of languages you work with. Or if you have a specific question and you would like me, Elena, and Jesse discuss this particular question or topic, you can use the orange button below this video that says ask a question or suggest a topic, and we'll be more than happy to answer your questions. Because that's the whole point of our conversation today, just have a nice little chat with you guys. Okay, Jesse, how are you?
Great, I'm doing really well.
Thank you so much for joining us today. It's a real pleasure to have you here. How's the weather like in Mexico right now?
It's what we call cold here.
Okay,
but I don't want to tell you the temperature.
Yeah, okay,
because
we're gonna be. I'm going to be envious for sure because I have around minus 15 degrees Celsius here, so.
That's no longer a part of my life.
Oh.
You used to live in Canada, is that right?
Yes. Yes, I grew up there. I was born in Ottawa, Canada, the capital of Canada. And I lived there until I was 18. I then went to university in Toronto, Canada's biggest city. And then after university, I moved back home and wasn't really up to anything. So I decided to do some courses in Mexico. And then I decided to move here.
Awesome. So can you please tell us a little bit about yourself? How did you end up working as a liaison interpreter?
As a liaison interpreter, I fell into it. I didn't really know about translation interpreting before I did a master's degree. I actually knew a little bit about it because basically everyone in Canada bumps up against it at some point because it's a bilingual country. So everyone already knows about translation, but in Canada, it's like, oh, translation is so expensive, so well paid, 25 cents per word, because it's been a bilingual country since its founding. So it's always had that necessity of translation and interpreting. But even so, I never really knew what it was. I never knew what interpreting was. But when I did do interpreting for the first time in an interpreting lab at my master's degree, I was like, this is awesome. I love this. This is what I want to do. Right away. Yeah, I was like, this is amazing. Like listening and talking at the same time. This is great. Yeah. And then after that, getting out of the master's degree and setting up shop, you start to really take a hard look at yourself and what your skills are. That's the first thing you have to say. What are my strengths? And for me, being that liaison between two people, usually a conversation with an interpreter, and then other people observing. There's always a little crowd to put the pressure on. That is just really what I'm excellent at. And now that I figured that out, I've started to actively look for those jobs. And after being here, I've lived here for 8 years, been an interpreter for four or 5 years. Now, you know, everyone's like, who's going to do this highly specialized job? Jesse. So that's how it kind of led up to now.
And could you tell us a little bit more about how liaison interpreting is different from other kinds of interpreting? We know there's court interpreting and some other
executive interpreting.
Yes. Let's review. I'm working on an infographic about the different types of interpreting and how they're related. I'm very excited about it. So we have the two biggies, right? We have legal interpreting and medical interpreting, which in my experience is where most of the interpreters that I know fall into. And if they don't, then they're conference interpreters. So those are interpreters who are in the booth at the back of the room. They're also pretty famous. We hear a lot about them. And they're going 20 minutes on, 20 minutes off. Then we have people who, it's also called accompany interpreting. And these are people who go with you anywhere you need to go in your country, and they interpret every single thing for you into English and into Spanish. And I started out doing a little bit of that first. I did a great kind of interpreting liaison job about a week ago, and I'll describe it to you quickly just so that you have an idea of what it's like. A software development company with different locations in India, Mexico, and the United States has their software developers who are coming to Mexico, and because the people who use their software are having problems, major manufacturing companies. So they call me and we meet at one company and we do very personalized interpreting in a room with 5 people, back and forth, back and forth. They're asking questions, they're saying stuff, sometimes they're angry. So there is kind of yelling, and then you're yelling higher, louder, and they're like, no, please be quiet. It's like, well, so very intimate settings. And then, so we started at one company, there were about 6 of us there. Then we took a tour of the factory, which was a sesame oil producing factory, and avocado oil, nuts and stuff like that. So that was very interesting. And then we went to another company that makes plastic receptacles, like little eyedroppers and like pill bottles. And they also use the software, and they also had quite a number of questions for the software developers and comments about stuff they wanted changed. And you promised it by this date and stuff like that. So that's kind of what a liaison interpreter or a company interpreter could do for you, is just to go around with you and be the communication. And this time, the sides were very nervous because they said the clients who are coming from India have very strong Indian accents, very strong. Are you going to be able to handle it? And I said, yes, I will, because that's my job, to communicate for you. So yes, I will, and don't worry, I'm on it. Having never met these guys, because I know that they're going to be speaking English, and I'm a native English speaker, so I'll be able to understand them. So that's just an example of one type of liaison interpreting.
Very interesting. Turns out I used to work as a liaison interpreter as well at the beginning of my career.
Totally.
Yeah, I just didn't know. I just thought it was just interpreting, consecutive interpreting.
But for me, when I'm doing liaison interpreting, it's not consecutive. It's simultaneous.
Kind of simultaneous.
Yeah.
It's totally simultaneous because, for example, usually someone's speaking in Spanish and I'm sitting right beside these people or in between them, or they're like huddled around me, or I'm right behind them, or I even kneel on the floor, sit on the floor to get the best position to get in there on these really intimate conversations. So the people are talking in Spanish and I'm doing simultaneous. But I also do consecutive, of course. As this kind of interpreter, people can ask you to do anything and you have to basically do it. Like if they're like, okay, stop doing that, go stand over there, we're going to videotape you with a microphone doing consecutive interpreting of a speech that someone has taken 3 weeks to write. You're like, okay, go ahead, I'm on it, I'm over there. So you really do have, you can't be like, oh no, I'm not comfortable with that.
Yeah.
That can't happen.
Yeah, that's a very very challenging job and very stressful probably.
It is, but it's that pressure for me. I don't know that I would call it stressful in the moment that it's happening, but there is incredible pressure. And but that pressure makes me perform. So I feel that pressure, and it's exciting, and it just boom starts to come out. I am the machine.
Probably some people crack under pressure and some people thrive under pressure.
Yes.
You're probably one of those who thrive under pressure. It's very interesting, and it's quite different from what translators normally do, like translating texts and sitting in your own office or at your own home office, isolated from the crowds. Yeah, it's a big difference.
But you know, Dimitri, I really don't like the pressure from translating documents on a really insane deadline. That's pressure that I can't deal with it. And when I'm doing translation, I can't have that pressure because I really need the time and my own special focus to create literary texts. So it's funny, for translation, I can't take that kind of pressure.
But I think it's just different kinds of pressure. When at least it's something that I remember from doing liaison interpreting is that I actually got that adrenaline rush, a little bit of adrenaline rush, and also the understanding that I help people to communicate and to connect with each other. And I was seeing happening that live, basically. And I was part of that, and it was different as when someone's sending you emails asking you to deliver the text as quickly as possible and stuff like that. It's just two very different things, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and one thing that I really feed off for sure with liaison interpreting is the buzz of the people around you who are under incredible pressure too. Like, for example, political situations. The people around you are under so much pressure to make the event happen, to make the communication good, to forge connections for politicians to forge connections with every single person that they talk to. And so that kind of pressure at big events is very exciting. I really love it. It's like a drug. Yeah, just these huge conferences with so many powerful people, and you're right there, communicating, and it's incredible. I love it. I really adore interpreting. It's the thing that I most love. I really feel like I was meant to do it.
That's an awesome feeling.
What kind of conferences have you worked at?
Well, I had the incredible luck of getting the call, as interpreters say, from the governor of my state's office. And this was about 2 years ago. And I tweeted about it, actually. The staff interpreter was sick that day. And so they called me, and it was to interpret for Shimon Peres and the governor of my state. And it was incredible. It was so amazing. It was the Business Summit of the Americas, 2015. So that was the first time that I did one of those high-profile, high-pressure political scenes. And I felt so relaxed. I felt so calm. I was walking around like, this is amazing. Here I am. This is great. Yeah, it felt really good. And this is terrible, but the night before they told me who it was, and I was like, I'm not going to look up the presenter because I just work better in this situation. It's going to be spontaneous. And when I got there, the guy who called me from the governor's office, a friend of mine, he was like, did you look up the person? I was like, no. He's like, it's Shimon Peres, the ex-president of Israel. And I was like, awesome, I'm ready. When are we starting? And it was like 5 minutes in, go, 45-minute conversation. You have to keep going too. There's no there's no 20 minutes. So that was really exciting. And since then, I've done 4 or 5 other big conferences like that. And I've really, every time, learned so much. Every time you usually make a really big mistake, but every time you learn so much. So those have been incredible experiences. And I hope Jesus will help me continue with those.
Do you have to do some preparations for those kinds of jobs? So you didn't prepare that time, but do you when you go, for example, with this software company, you told us a little bit, told us at the beginning, do you have to look up
yes, yeah, for yes,
like
for
that?
Sure. Every time you do, every time you have to do it up. It's just that for that particular conference, the night before, they called me the night before, and I interpreted for another big name, and I was getting low on energy, and I just wanted to make sure I was really fresh and did it spontaneously. But you would always look up every single thing you could find out. Like for that conference, I looked up about the whole conference, the Summit of the Americas. I read about the history of it. I read about some of the other people who are coming. I mean, there's many, many people going to these conferences. For the one with the guys from India, yeah, I actually tried to learn about the software beforehand, and it was really complicated. So yeah, you definitely have to really prepare, research as much as you can. And I usually 90% of the time make a glossary beforehand. And I have to say that 95% of the time, none of those words are used, but they really give you a great context.
Yeah,
but you kind of
and probably some you just feel prepared and more at ease.
Well, you have to know what you're talking about. So if they're talking about this software and they're saying like pop-up screen F4 is delinquent, and it's not just words, you do have to think, what's the problem they're having with the software? So you do need to get a little bit into it, and that's so fascinating. Like I've taken so many tours of so many factories, like plastics factories, and I've looked up these places beforehand, and I'm like, I don't really get it. And then when I'm there, I learned so much. Learn incredible. Like for example, this plastics manufacturing plant that I went to just last week, the people who make these little eye-dropping bottles, they're like totally sealed. They work in sealed rooms like little rats, like in a cage, and they have totally like hazmat, completely like tape around their sleeves, tape around their boots. It's like, wow, it's really serious. It's FDA approved. So
they make you wear the same clothes.
Well, they make them totally, so that no little viruses can get in, and it's completely clean. It's FDA approved, and but it's fascinating to see people working at their jobs in these little like sealed containers when they're making sealed containers.
Yeah. I had the similar experience during my first time when I was just starting out as a translator. I actually, just like Elena, I also worked as a liaison interpreter, as it turns out. But I worked with a specialist from France, but he was speaking in English, and he was giving a tour of agricultural complex in the region where I lived back in Russia. And this agricultural, they were raising pigs, from little piglets to big pigs. And every single time when we were visiting this facility, we had to take a shower. We had to change our clothes into the clothes that were given to us. So everything was super clean, and there was a lot of attention on not bringing anything from the outside world to this facility, because this is a very volatile environment, and it was very important that we took a shower. So it was an interesting part of the job. When you are an interpreter, you don't expect that you will be showering every single day at your work.
Yeah, you certainly never thought that you'd take your clothes off as an interpreter.
So that was fun.
What are some of the principles and ethics of liaison interpreting in your experience?
The first one, and I think it's a principle of interpreting in general, is to always come prepared. And that means that to me, that means that you never make excuses for what you don't have with you. You know, oh, I'm thirsty, they didn't give us any water. Well, I'm sorry, but you're really gonna have to take care of your own water. And one thing that I've noticed with liaison interpreting is that they very rarely give you food or think of you as needing food. Yeah, they just gloss right over it. And so it's really important to have nuts and bars. I really recommend that to anyone, because if you've been interpreting in a high pressure situation, you probably need a snack right after. And if you don't get one, you're just gonna start to feel crazy. And then they're gonna ask you to interpret again, and you're gonna be like, I can't think. So yeah, big time. So don't push yourself like that, because it just ends up being a disaster. Whereas if you just have this high protein bar in your bag and you take it out and you eat it, you're gonna feel great. And my experience at these big conferences and events is that everyone else around is hungry too. Yeah, and that, you know, it's just event after event, and they don't have time for food, and they're under pressure, and they have to do this and they have to do that. So they're all hungry too. And so if you want to be super slick, you could bring extra for them.
Interesting.
So be prepared. That's number one. Number one is to always be prepared. And that means doing the research beforehand, of course, too. And if you don't do the research, then knowing the topic really well and not, you know, so definitely that always, and just going a little bit more into being prepared. When I'm doing liaison interpreting, I always carry my phone. I don't carry my whole wallet. I just bring some cash, IDs. You're always going to need IDs. You might need $5, you know, you might need some money, or someone might ask you for some money. It'd be nice if you had it to give to them. Some Kleenex, a pen and pad, always. Never get caught without that. And your business cards. That's the best thing about working for direct clients, is no one can tell you, no, don't talk to that person. No, put your cards away. Hey, that's my client. Don't give cards to my client. You don't have to worry about all of that. So on top of these really high pressure situations, get ready to sell yourself at the same time, at an opportune moment. You'll never have a better moment than at the job that you're at, but you can't let that interfere with your interpreting. You have to really do it at the right time. But if you do, that's just like harvesting clients. Yeah, at events that you're at. So you need to be ready. Besides being prepared to do the interpreting, and besides really mentally preparing, you know, mentally preparing for the day by not talking and by just thinking, and also preparing yourself to sell yourself. So when people come up to you after and they say, that was amazing, that was incredible, you're like, oh, well, here's my card. Thank you so much. I'd love to work with you. Call me anytime. Yeah.
Did this strategy bring you any new clients?
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. And the thing is this was something that I was planning on talking about related to direct clients. This seems like just a perfect shoe-in or whatever, is that it's not necessarily the people that you're going out to meet. Like, people are like, I need direct clients. I need to go get a direct client. Where are they? Well, the direct clients are not the people probably that you have contact with. It's the people that the people you have contact with have contact with. So let's say you know one person, but they know a lot of people, especially if they're in your field. So for example, my friend who works in the governor's office. Not only is he directly hiring me, he's recommending me to many other people. And so he's a great client, but it's all the people that he knows who are the potential direct clients. So I think that's something to really keep in mind. People say, this is a really common thing that I've heard people say. They've said, I love making generalizations. They've said, I've gone to an expo and I didn't get any clients from the expo. It's like, okay, me neither. I go to expos. Now I go to expos and get clients. But before I went to expos and didn't get clients. But all the people that I met at those expos told other people about me, and those people called me.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really important to keep that in mind. It's not that you're going to directly have contact with, you know, the head of sales from Driscoll's Berries. Probably not, even though he would be a great client. But you might have contact with a bunch of other people at Driscoll's, and they'll recommend you to the person who's going to buy the translation or interpreting. So that's a really important point when you're working with direct clients. Don't be like, oh, I went to an expo and I didn't get any clients, so it doesn't work. You have no idea all the little like, all the little people talking to other people, all the little connections being made. You have no idea how much that's happening. And that's going to get you clients.
What other ways of getting direct clients can you recommend, apart from going to expos?
The first thing to do, I think, in my opinion, this is all in my opinion, if you don't have any direct clients and you want to get direct clients, the very first thing that you should do, and this is a tip that I got from Ed Gandia, it's to reflect first on the people that you know and the people that they know, and ask the people that you know to introduce you to the people that they know who could be your potential clients. And this has worked out like gangbusters for me. Yeah, the very first direct client that I got was a friend of my husband's. Yep, and he continues to be a client, and he continues to refer me and refer me and refer me. And he was my very first client, and I did a terrible job with him. And because he asked me to translate a script. This is very typical. And he gets the Word document. And I'm like, okay, this is weird. What's this about? It doesn't make sense. I don't know, but I don't want to ask. Dumb, right? And so I translate it for him, and he gets back to me, and he's like, this is totally wrong. It's a script from a video. I was like, what? A video? And and then I watched the video, and it made sense. So that was with my very first direct client, the very first job, I stuck my foot right in it. And I learned a big lesson that time. And it wasn't just the lesson about asking if it's a video or not. It was it was the lesson about how he came back to me later and said, this is wrong. I felt really terrible. Like my stomach dropped right out of my body. And then he's like, I need you to fix this. I need this fixed. I mean, and that was a huge lesson, because as a direct client, he almost didn't care that it's wrong. He just needs you to do it properly and do it right. And that was a huge lesson for me about what direct clients want. They rely on you to get things done. So get her done. Even if you make a mistake, keep going. Fix it, move on, apologize. And he continues to be an amazing source of referrals.
Yeah, and I think when you come through and you fix your mistakes, it also shows your professionalism.
And it shows that you know how to eat that uncomfortableness of having made a professional mistake. So that's the first place to look for direct clients, is the people that you know, their contacts. And Ed Gandia says this, I'm telling you what he says, what advice he gives on this. And he says that you really need to reflect. And I think this is also a place where people sometimes forget to do this crucial step. Because when I started doing this, I started wasting a lot less time and getting more clients. You really do need to take time. And I'm not talking about an afternoon. I'm talking about having some, for me personally, it means having some notes near me and constantly making notes and throughout the day thinking about my clients that I have and about potential clients and reflecting on who these people are. Because that's the first thing when I realized that I just want to work with direct clients. I didn't want to work with any agencies. I was like, who are these people? Who are the direct clients who I want to work with? And after researching a lot, that's when you come up with them. So you need to reflect first to say, okay, so I'm going to think about my contacts, but who is the person, excuse me, who is the person who I want to know? Who, I think one of the first people I came up with was the marketing and sales department at the Regulatory Council of Tequila here in the state where I live. I was like, the Regulatory Council of Tequila, I'd love to work with them. I'm going to get them as the client. They're still not my client. And and so meanwhile, they're not my client, but I learned so much going after them. So much. Because I started saying to everyone, do you know anyone? Do you know anyone? Do you know anyone at the CRT? I need someone in the sales department. And then I stumbled upon someone who said, yeah, I have worked for them and they're just the worst. They just treat you like a slave as an interpreter. I was like, I don't care. I still want to work for them. And I'm still on the mission. I'm still on the mission of going after them as a client. But at going after them, I learned that they're not really that great of a client for me. And I learned who else is. So it's not, A, B. It's like A, B. It's not just like directly to the client, like get it, catch the fish, cook it, eat it. No, it's not that clear. So that you have to go through other people. And while you're doing research on who your potential clients might be, you're gonna learn so much. But you do have to put that time aside. I would start with 1 hour per day of reflecting. Who is someone that I want to get as a client? Who do I want to go after? Who do I want? And when you have the answer to that, then you can start trying to get them as a client.
So, and what do you usually put into your notes when you're reflecting? Say, I'm starting to reflect on who I want to have as my direct clients. What should I put into my notes? What should I write down? Company names, or just I don't know, nice hotels in the Alps and things like that.
Yes, that's excellent. Nice hotels in the Alps. That's a great note. Put that down. You're like, oh, I can't get to it right now, but I'll do it later. Then later, you're just actually put nice hotels in the Alps. Start to make a list of those hotels. Start to understand the hotels. What they do, who are they catering to, and where do you fit into that? So, and who is the name of the person who's in charge of human resources? Who's the name of the person who's in charge of communication? Who's the name of the person who's in charge of sales, marketing? Knowing one person at the company isn't enough. You need to spread out all over. So I would start making a list of hotels in the Alps. And then I would start looking for information about them in the news. So you, in my opinion, when you work with direct clients, you live and breathe their industry. So for example, on my Twitter, this is great, Twitter, I love Twitter, lists potential clients. Make a list of potential clients. Twitter is a great place to research clients. You could look up hotels that are on Twitter and put them in a list of potential clients. And once you have 10, then start to think about how you're going to get in touch. And I'll give you...
Speaking of getting in touch, because that's where people start having a lot of problems, because getting in touch with a potential client is a lot of pressure. It's very scary and stressful, and people make a ton of mistakes there. And all of us been in this situation where we try to reach out to potential client, then we have to deal with rejection, and then we have to deal with the fear and self-loathing, etc., etc. What are the tips that could help people who have never contacted direct clients before?
Okay.
Can you give any advice?
Yes, absolutely. The first thing is to reach out to people that you know, right? Because that's a lot less pressure and it's a lot easier to practice. And when you screw up, those people understand because they know you. They're either your family, your friends, or friends of your family. So, or colleagues who could understand. You reach out to colleagues. So that's the first part. And I think that when you do reach out to clients, what's so crucial is the timing. So I think that's why a lot of people get rejected, because they're doing it at the wrong time. They're doing it at the wrong moment. And with direct clients, it's really about finesse. So just relax, because there's a lot of pressure that's like, have to do this now. Don't do it if you're feeling nervous and unsure of yourself and not confident, because no one wants to hire someone like that, unfortunately. So really, and this is where you have to do more reflecting. You have to say, when is the best time for that person to be contacted by me? Mm-hmm. How is the best way? So you can ask them out for coffee if you want, or you can call them. I mean, calling people is hard. And I get annoyed when people call me and it's just out of the blue and they suddenly want to talk for 10 or 15, 20 minutes right then. It's like, I can't. So don't call someone like that. Don't call someone who might feel that way. Yeah. So you really have to find out the best way to contact your clients. And for some of the first clients that I worked with, I was really sensitive to that. I never called them because people here in Mexico sometimes get very annoyed by that. So I didn't do that. I just was very in the background and sending emails and talking to them by email and asking other people for their emails. So getting their contact in that way, I think that's a good way. But I guess it's really important to emphasize that with the direct clients, the process is so important, right? So first you have to decide who you might want as a client. I think it would be a good idea to come up with a list of 5 or 10 companies, people, or organizations. And then you have to research those organizations, understand them 100%, understand how they work, understand what they're doing, follow them all over social media, figure out their company. What is their company structure? If you ask yourself that about companies that you know, I would be surprised if you came up with the answer. So you would have to research how their company works. And then later after that, there would be the contact. And for me, referrals, I think I would say that 98% of my business is referrals. It's all referrals. So how do you get referrals? You have to be the expert in your field. And that takes a long time. I mean, it takes at least 5 years. I would say that's the very minimum. So you have to do that. You have to get a website. You have to be out there. You have to be findable. People have to trust you. They have to look at your website and say, yes, this person knows what they're talking about. And all of that is how you get the clients. But it's definitely a really, like, first you do this, then you do that, then you do that. It's kind of like translation. First you get the document, then you make sure that they're going to pay. Then you read the document over. Then you make a glossary. Then you read the document again. Then you fix any difficult parts. Then you start translating. Then you edit it. Then you edit it again and again and again. And you hand it in. So direct clients is very much like that. It's a step-by-step. Personally, that's what I think. It's a step-by-step process.
It is.
Yeah.
And once you got your direct clients, you also have to make sure that they come back to you. So what do you do to keep your direct clients?
I put them on a pedestal and I surround them with beautiful, fuzzy, happy things, including, a water element. And I pet them, I tuck them in every night. I wake them up every morning with a coffee, and I'm there anytime they need anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so really treating them amazingly. Yeah. And that's why I think it's a good idea to really start small, so that you make sure that you can give your direct clients the treatment that they want, because they're very demanding. Yeah, so really being there for them. And I think I was talking to one of my clients the other day. I gave her a bottle of Canadian whiskey, and she was saying, Jesse, you know what I love about you is that you answer every single email. Every single email to say, thank you, I received that. Yes, I will. I'll get right back to you. I'll send that to you later today. And then you do it. So that's like that really comfortable place that you make for them, where they know that they can count on you. And so actually I have some percentages here, because I saw that you guys were asking how much time on this, how much time on that. So I worked out a little percentage breakdown for the direct clients in your business. So this is above and beyond work. Work is a whole other pie. It's 100% work pie. And this is the in your business time you spend on direct clients pie. So it's 20% time spent researching clients. And 20%, that percentage depends on how many clients you want. So for me, to keep it going, I spend 20% of my time in the direct client pie researching clients. And that means researching current clients, because I need to really know them inside out. So I do a lot of research on my current clients to understand them better and be able to give them better service. 10% time spent with clients physically. So meals and coffee. For me, that's meals and coffee. 10% getting paid. So that's making invoices and following up. Because with direct clients, I'm sure you've heard, it's not just like, oh, here's the invoice and then they pay you. It could be like that. Or you could need to get in touch with them 4 or 5 times to get the payment. And just being really nice and just reminding them, because they're very busy and they have a lot of other things on their mind. So 10% getting paid. 20% at expos and conferences. And for me, personally, that means translation conferences and expos in the industries that I'm interested in, which is books, literature, environment, renewable energy, forestry, oil and gas, even though that's on the way down, and marketing. I love marketing conferences. So those I go to translation and client conferences. That's 20%. 10% taking care of me, because I need to be in excellent shape to give this performance, which is interpretation. 15% marketing and promotion, and that includes working on your website and creating marketing materials, which I really love to do. Very fun. I really get a lot out of that. And 15% business administration, because if your business isn't well administered, direct clients are not going to come back to you. They want stuff right away. They ask for your professional profile in 3 languages. They want it in 5 minutes. So send it right away. If they ask for an invoice, you should send it in under 10 minutes. So they're asking you how to pay you. So got to be right on that. So your business needs to be well administered. That's the direct client pie.
One thing that caught my attention when I saw your outline that you sent me before this talk was something you called managing clients, managing direct clients. And I'm really curious what you mean under managing direct clients, because for me personally, when you manage people, it's usually your employees. And in this case, you're talking about managing direct clients. So what do you mean?
Yes. Well, in that case, the very first thing is getting back to them right away. So if they get in touch with you, it's like you need to get back right away. And that's part of managing them, because they need answers. They're working in high pressure situations, And translation is almost an afterthought. Sometimes it's more primary, but the truth is you need to make as little problems as possible. And that's why people don't ask questions, I think, about translations, because they don't want to be a bother. I understand. I mean, with the direct clients, you really have to be careful about that stuff. You can't like demand things from them, for example. Or when you're asking questions about a translation, which you 100% should do every time, don't let it go by, because if you don't ask questions, you're not going to learn. So even if you understand it, you should ask questions. But with the direct clients, you need to make sure that you're not wasting their time ever. Ever. No wasting their time. So that's part of managing them for sure. But for me, it's being in touch right away and answering all their questions whenever they need. They need assurance. They need the invoice. They need it right away. They need financial information right away. They need to get these processes rolling. They need to know that when they shoot you off an email, you're going to get it and you're going to write them right back, because they can count on you. So that's what I think managing clients is about. And that really includes whatever comments and changes that they have. This is related to translation. And I work on texts where there's a lot of back and forth. I mean, the texts change, working for the Ministry of Tourism or the Ministry of Culture. They have texts, they translate them, the text change, they cut them up, they put them back together, they change information in the texts. And you really have to be a team player. You can't be like, oh, I can't believe what they asked me to do. It's like they're a direct client. So if they ask you to jump up on a cloud and float along, you're going to do it, basically, if there's a safety net. But it means that whatever they ask you to do, you're going to do it and you're going to get it done. So yeah, it means when they ask you for a Japanese Spanish translator that you're going to have to find it, even though you don't know and you've never, whatever, it doesn't matter because the client's asking you. So you have to be able to solve their problems, and you can't be snarky.
Yeah.
I think, to me, that's what managing them means. Yeah. Dealing directly,
explanation.
Yeah, managing them is dealing directly with them. That's what it means. That's what it means. And just always putting their needs first. I mean, the clients call me and I work for marketing houses, a couple of marketing houses, and they always want their translations right away, like within 2 hours. And the truth is, I'm sure I'm not surprising or offending anyone here, they're not really that greatly written. They're not really that well written because people haven't taken the time. They need this marketing copy. They need it now. They need it translated. They need it translated now in 2 hours. And I do that for my clients. It's one of those situations where they say, jump, and I'm like, how high? For sure. Yeah. Yeah, and I think Chris Durbin has just a wealth of amazing tips on working with direct clients. And what you do is, some people say, well, hey, I don't want to jump like a trick pony. Okay, that's fine. I understand. Then you can get some different types of direct clients. Or on your invoice, you can charge triple or 4 times as much. Okay, and here's a great tip from Chris Durbin that has always really, really done me well, is on your invoice, you do all these things, you do whatever tricks they want, and on your invoice, you list these things that you've done for them, rush overnight service, half an hour phone call from 11 to 11:30 p.m. And you put these things in your invoice, but you don't put any price next to them. It's just a value add, 0, 0, 0, 0. And then at the end, the price is very high for that kind of service because it's value. It's value service. So you charge triple and then you do it happily. And that's something that I've talked to other translators about. They're like, oh, this client, last minute, they want this information. It's like, well, I would be very happy to do that for triple. Because I need to be happy when I'm doing my work. And
Absolutely.
Elena, Dimitri, I have to tell you, I have not heard any back talk on this. I raise the price, my clients don't say anything.
Yeah,
they don't
that's
even,
because they see the value, obviously.
They don't even comment. They're just like, send me the invoice now. So that's part of managing clients and administering your business.
Yeah, I think the important lesson here is that we should constantly show our value, and that tip from Chris Urban is a great tip, especially for those people who are struggling with showing the value and with clients who do not understand their value.
Yeah,
because we have a lot of value, and we offer that value happily, but we often forget that some clients might not see it directly, so we have to show them somehow.
absolutely. I don't think that clients know at all. Many of my clients have no idea what's involved in translation, and I don't try to force it on them at all because they're really busy, and they're really busy understanding a lot of other complicated stuff related to their jobs. So they don't necessarily have time to understand the conceptual wizardry that is your job. And
Absolutely.
yeah, and I would be very careful about wasting their time if they're not interested. If they ask you, go ahead, let them know. But related to your invoices, you should be putting all that stuff on there. Made a glossary. Make it sound better than that, right? But, you know, glossary, compilation, whatever. But one great tip that I just got from Marta, Marta S., I won't butcher her last name. She was at the St. Jerome Translation and Interpreting Conference down here at the Guadalajara International Book Fair this year, and she gave some great sessions. And one thing that she was saying is that you should really put together a document that describes your process for your clients, because that's taking the information that you want to give them and putting it into a format that works for them. So this is a way that you can let clients know what you're doing and what your process is without annoying them, I think. If you send them this, maybe with your first, before you do one job with them, like with a new client or with your invoice, an infographic would be great that says, I have these steps personally laid out on my website saying, like, first the translator is a writer and an editor, and describing this. Some people don't want to know, but if you put it in a format that is easy for them, that's a really great thing, and that's telling clients all that you do. And so I think some of the stuff that Marta had in there was keyword research, SEO research. I don't know what other secret words there are, but get your own secret words, put them on your invoice, and make them reflect the value that you're adding.
We have a couple of questions from our viewers concerning what we are talking about right now. I also want to say that a couple of people would like to hire you already, Jesse, because of your positive mentality.
Great. I love working.
So the questions. Josephine asks, do you charge value-added service extra tricks without telling the clients in advance? What about telling them, okay, I'll do the parachuting, but I'll have to charge X flat?
Absolutely, yeah. Like when they ask you to, for example, this client that came to me and said they needed this transcription translation right away. And I was like, I'm not in the mood to listen to this video of people with really heavy accents in English. Pause, play. But it's like, it's not about me. So I said, I can do that for you tonight, Rodolfo, but it's going to be 3 times the normal price. Right at that moment, exactly at the moment that they ask you to do something, just like Delphine said, that, they ask you to jump and you say, sure, with a parachute. So yes, at that exact moment, I would never surprise a client with a price, ever. I would never surprise them at the end of the job. I would always tell them at the very beginning. The price is the first thing that you agree on.
And what about
Yeah, I
the
mean, it
value?
makes business sense.
Yeah.
Sorry?
I mean, it makes business sense because when you buy something, you want to know how much it's going to cost.
Yes, exactly. And you should, you know, maybe you're seeing here that it's all about the client. You should also charge in a way that is good for the client.
Mm.
Everything is about the clients.
Another question Delphine asks is, do you always, never, often use contracts with direct clients where you specify estimated compensation, extra hours they may ask you to work for them, etc.?
Well, related to liaison interpreting, I have to say, liaison interpreting in Mexico, in the state of Jalisco, it's a little bit more Wild West than that. So, so far I haven't been asked to sign anything, which is crazy. I've definitely signed translation contracts, but all of that stuff, all of this direct client stuff, all that contract stuff, that's all stuff that you have to work out for your business. And in the process of making these documents, that's you forming your business. So you need to make a document. I mean, I make custom invoices for each client. 100% custom, saying this is the day that I will hand it in. It's from this language. It's this, you know, this type of grammar. It's like a whole list of stuff, all kinds of stuff. Anything that they need to know. Each invoice is custom. So you have to get those things together for your business that work for your business. And my direct clients, for example, some of the clients that I have that are universities here in Mexico, they need the invoice right away before the job even starts, and they need the official invoice, which is called a factura here. They need that right away before the job starts. And here in Mexico, when you issue that official factura, that's like a contract because you're dealing with the Mexican government, which is very serious. It's just as serious as the IRS. So it's like, here's your official tax receipt with all your business information, your unique population registry code. So when you send that official invoice to the clients, that's like a contract down here. I have signed some other contracts, but I can't even get them. I keep asking this one client for a contract we signed, even though I read it. And they're like, oh, they've been getting it to me for a year. It's so embarrassing. And this is a huge client. And I cannot get the contract from them. So Mexico is a little bit more Wild West, I would say, and you have to accommodate people. So for me, that means I'm all up with the Mexican government. I'm super official. And when people hear that, because there's a lot of not paying taxes here, there's a lot of poor people, and so when people hear that, they're like, oh, really? You give an official receipt? Oh, you give an official factura? Oh, perfect. Okay, let's move on to the next thing. It's like we just skipped this huge step because of all the previous work that I did, which took a lot of work and is a lot of money. My accountant is my biggest business expense, really a lot. Accounting's not something that you can't outsource here. You have to get an accountant. So doing stuff like that prepares you to smoothly do those things with direct clients by making things easy for them.
Yeah, absolutely. We still have a few questions, right? Some of the questions are not actually related to liaison interpreting, because in our introduction, we actually said that you are also a literary translator. So Lovina, I have a question. Where do you find clients in the literary translation market?
Well, the biggest thing there, and I don't think this just applies to literary translation, but in terms of direct clients, is having that really great website. So my biggest literary translation client is Black Coffee Gallery, and I call this the Mexican Starbucks. It's a national coffee shop chain. It has over 35 branches in the Republic. And they produce a tome of Mexican art in a book that is accompanied by essays and stories each year. They publish one per year. and they translate it. And so that client, the woman who I work with, Pati Montelongo, just an amazing woman, she just got in touch with me cold and said, I was doing some research on the internet. I found your website, and I think that you are the kind of person that we want to translate our book. And when I got that call, I was like, amazing. And I'll tell you what I did right away. I went right over to her place. I got in the car and drove right to her office. Straight there. I said, can we meet right now? Yes. Never mind, it's an hour and 20 minutes away from my house. No problem. I jumped in the car and rode over there, and she explained everything to me. I got the opportunity to ask her lots of questions, such as, what happened to your other translator? Yeah. And that worked out amazingly. Here's this is the book from last year. So it's a book on art.
Oh.
And it has essays written by art critics, and it's all translated into English. So
looks amazing.
Oh, this beautiful thing came to me from having a website. And then obviously, it is. And then obviously, you know, I work a lot on cultivating my relationship with my clients a lot. So that's I would say that's a really good way. Literary translation is to get a website and get yourself out there and publish your work. You know, the first thing I published was a short story, and then you tell people about it, and you send it to people, and you try to get in touch with authors. Yeah, can you guys hear that?
I think you're having some fireworks.
It's fireworks. It's fireworks. But yeah, I think the thing is the website's so crucial, and you really have to design it for the clients that you want to get. And it's like, I mean, I hate to do a Kevin Costner quote, but if you build it, they will come.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we talked a lot about websites in the previous episodes, and whenever we get the chance to talk with our translators, a lot of people seem to come to agreement that websites are crucial especially in getting direct clients.
Yeah, because they have to be able to research you online. Because they not only are they asking their friends about you, they're asking other people about you. Definitely, I get itchy ears like once a week at least. And then they want to do, you know, secret research online, which isn't very secret, and they want to find out about you. So give them that information. Let them have the information. You get to design all of it. So design it all and design it for the clients that you want to get.
You said that getting published your work is also an essential step in finding directly clients for literary translation. Where did you publish your short story that you mentioned?
I published it in K1N, the literary journal of the University of Ottawa. So I think that's a really great way to get yourself out there, is to do a short story translation, find someone who has the copyright, directly get in touch with them, ask them if you can, then do it. Then after all that, then look for someone to publish it. And there are many journals. I've been collecting a list of literary translation journals for the past couple of years. And I mean, they're all over the place. Yeah. So I think with just a little bit of research, you'll be able to find one that could publish your story. A short story, I think, is a really, really good idea. And get in touch with them and try to get them to publish your story. Yeah, I would say that's a really, really good first step.
Okay, I think we still have a few questions from the audience. Is that so?
We have a question.
Question.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not quite related to the topic so that we have discussed today, but still it's a question, and we'll be more happy to answer it. What to do when clients refuse to pay?
Well, has
it ever happened to you?
I don't think, no. No, it hasn't. No. But the first thing is with any new client, even when it feels really buddy-buddy, and this has happened to me, like, I know you, it's fine. No, it's not fine. Always get 50% upfront from a new client. Yeah. Yeah. And I've had this lately. I've had a couple of new clients, very excited about. And we met in person already, met at the book fair. And I thought, whatever, I don't need to get 50%. Thank goodness I was just thinking this in my head, but actually typing, here's my bank information to deposit the 50%, because I just can't start without that. I can't start without something. So I think that's really crucial. But then for my other clients, like my regular clients, I have to say, some of them pay right away. Some of them pay the next day. Some of them pay within a week. And then I have the other clients who pay after 2 or 3 or 4 months. And that's what they can do. Unfortunately, that's their schedule. So for example, for this book, I worked on this book for a couple of months, and then after 5 months, they paid me. After 5 months from the start of the project. But you know why that didn't bother me? Because I have a float, like I have that money. We call it a mattress here in Mexico, that cushion. And you with direct clients, you have to have that. So because you can't, and this is something that I really wanted to do with this client at first. I wanted to say, I really need the money. I really need you to just pay me. I really need you to pay me. Don't ever talk to clients like that, because they don't want to hear that, and they don't want whining. So however much you want to say it, you have to ask yourself, do I want to work with this person? And if you don't, then don't work with them anymore. But I would say never harass direct clients. Never put it on them. Don't be like, I just really need you to pay me. It's like, that's just really not what they need from you. And sometimes, for example, like with this book, I said to myself, this is the price. That's the price. This is the price for doing this kind of project. This is the price for working on this. And I am willing to pay it, because in the end, they always pay. And in the end, I keep raising the price. So that's the thing with direct clients, is that if you don't like it, then get someone else, or don't work with them. But definitely don't bother them. Like I have a lot of clients who sometimes they don't get in touch for 2 or 3 months, and then they need something right away, and they need you to respond right away. They don't need you to be like, oh, I haven't heard from you. I'm busy right now. No, they don't want to hear that. So and
nobody wants to.
Exactly. And in that way, I have to tell you that I'm so privileged to work with amazing clients, and I love them. I really love them. And I would do anything for my clients because I love them.
Yeah, we've been talking for more than an hour right now. Do you guys still want to discuss a few topics that left in our discussion box below?
Are you talking to the audience?
Yes.
I'm talking to you guys.
Okay.
Because we normally try to keep it under 1 hour. So
I think I would really like to know how Jesse manages different work demands and loads, because I think that working with literary translation is quite different from working as a liaison interpreter. And so how do you do
find
all of that? Yeah, find the balance.
Yeah, it's kind of a chaotic type of balance. So first of all, for the literary translation, I have to say I don't work with people who usually are super demanding about exactly the date that they need for me to hand it in. So since my clients and I are close, we're very close, and we're in constant communication through the app WhatsApp. And so that means that I respond to them within a minute. Okay. And so they send me the texts, sometimes much later than they said they would, sometimes earlier, sometimes at a different date. And I try to do it as quickly as I can. But I usually set the deadlines for literary translation. And do I ever push myself at the end? I'm like, why did I say I would do it by tomorrow? But I usually set my own deadlines. You know, we really do have an open communication. So I say to them, you know, what's the final date? You know, because you hand in the translation and then they have their editors edit it and then they send it back to you, and then you keep editing it with them, you keep changing it with them, and then they have to put it into the format of the book, and then they have to do this, and then they have to do that. So there is a date when it's like, okay, no, now we need it by this time. But this year, this very same client, Black Coffee Gallery, was a little worried because I was having a baby in June, and that was exactly when we were wrapping up this year's book. But they kept stalling on sending me the texts. So the woman was like, you know, I'm just so worried that you're not going to be able to translate them. I said, even if I have a baby the next day, I'm going to finish those texts. Don't worry, I'm with you. And after saying that, that's not what happened. I didn't have to do the texts the day after having a baby, but that's the kind of reassurance that they need. And you know, I'm going to do it as quickly as I can, but you're asking me to translate a poem about Orpheus's head floating in a river. So I really need to think about that.
Probably.
That's a poem that I translate. So, you know, this really conceptual stuff, I'm not going to be able to just turn around and flip that and give it to you. And they know that because it's an editor, it's a publishing house, you know, so they know that. But, you know, I'm being a bit hypocritical because I'm under a deadline right now for literary translation, which is for December 16th. But at the same time, I said, yes, I can do that for that date. So that's the first thing, is that with the literary translation, it's not like Tuesday the 9th at 4:30 p.m. It can't really be like that, because my life is fluid and I'm not going to be able to commit to that. So that's one thing. And then another thing is never translating and interpreting for me on the same day. That's like really brutal. Yeah. So just days that are interpreting, that day plus the day after is a no, not scheduling any work, not even 500 words on that day. Yeah. And then one thing, Elena, that I really do to manage my workload is organizing myself and my business, my computer, my books, constantly, just like constantly organizing so that when I need something, I have it in 1 second. You know, it's like a new client and they need an invoice and they need my official number and they need this and they need that. I have all that stuff ready, and in 5 minutes I send it to them. I have the invoices, one for this, one for that, one for this. I have them all ready and I just fill them in. And then I have my professional profile, I have 5 versions. And I have that translated into Spanish and I have it all ready. So I'm not wasting any time on doing that stuff when people are asking me for things, because direct clients make a lot of demands on you. And I have all my stuff organized because those direct clients are going to call 3 years later and say, do you still have that document? And then you're like, yep, this happened to me just yesterday. A student from 3 years ago, I really desperately need my transcript. I'm like, okay, Fernando Fernandez Alvarez, here it is. I've got it. And I said, just sent it to you. So I don't waste time and they get exactly what they want. So that, I think that's really important. Be prepared. Be prepared. All my clothes, I have to tell you, are all clean. all my business clothes. They're all clean and hanging ready to just rip them off the hanger, put them on, jump in the car, and go. So that kind of stuff will really trip you up. Like as soon as I, for example, just as soon as I wear a suit, if it gets dirty, I dry clean it right away so that I'm ready for the next time. You know, I never have my cars sitting in the driveway with gas. Never. My car's always full of gas. Yeah.
Would you say that being prepared is the main advice that you could give to people who want to work with direct clients? Or is it something else?
I think that's a really good one. It's a really good one, but you have to realize that in that deep sense of the be prepared motto, for me means starting with your schooling. It means starting a long way back. And if you don't have that, that's fine. Start tomorrow. Start now. Yeah, but being prepared for me is a lifestyle. And I have to do that to be able to be able to fulfill these demands. Like the interpreting job for at the Business of the Americas Summit, it was Sunday from 7:30 to 11:30 p.m. So are you ready? Yeah, I would say be prepared, and also for direct clients, is just no whining. It's okay to whine to your friends and your family, but not your clients, because you won't keep them and you won't get more. So just really, that's part of being prepared too. It's like if you say, oh, but I don't have this, but I don't have that. It's like, go get it now, go do it now, right now, now, do everything now. Now's the time. Don't delay. So that for me, sometimes I'm doing stuff, I'm like, why am I doing this? I don't feel like doing this right now. And it's like preparation for something that's so far away. And when the moment comes, I'm ready for anything. So yes, I would say it's really important. And one thing that's really important is having all those documents prepared, the invoices. When someone says, oh, yes, okay, I'd love to do this job with you. Send me over your terms of service. Are you ready? Do you have your terms of service? Because if you don't look very good. It's like someone says, oh, great talking to you. Yeah, just send me your professional profile. I mean, send it over right away. Have it ready. Have the invoices ready, everything. So you definitely need that arsenal of documents ready.
That's some great tips, because those are the things that some of us probably don't think about too often, and they really help you look as a professional and find new clients and keep your old ones, right?
Yes.
I think that we could go on and on, because it's a real pleasure talking to you, Jesse, and I'm so happy that we also have the video today, because it's just amazing. But we have to wrap up, because it's almost an hour and a half.
Well, maybe I would love to come on the show again. I think it's so great what you guys are doing.
That would be amazing. We
would love to.
Yes, we'd love to have you back on the show.
I think it's just amazing what you guys are doing. And Dimitri, I read your breakdown of the time and the money, and I thought, this is his baby. This is Alina's baby. And I understand. I have 2 human babies, and then I have my business. So I get it. And it's incredible what you guys are doing. It's really wonderful.
It's so rewarding, and we get to talk to wonderful people, and it's very... Yeah. It's a great thing for me personally. It's the highlight of my week. We've talked about it several times, and it's really great.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Me too. Highlight of my week for sure.
Great. So thank you everyone who joined us tonight or today, depending on where you are in the world. Thank you for all your questions and for all your kind words. I'm very happy that you were with us today. and I hope you'll join us next time. You can check out our website and translatorsonair.com and subscribe to our newsletter so that you don't miss any future episodes. By the way, another thing I wanted to talk about at the end of this episode is that you can actually become our guest. You can fill out the form at our website, or you can recommend someone if you know someone who you'd like us to interview. Then you can fill out another form and we'll get in touch with them. And please don't forget to check out the website of our sponsor at smartcat.ai. And I hope to see you next week. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Adios.